Hello and welcome to today's episode of the program, The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. This is a program that bridges the gap between the government doing this alone. I have a co-anchor in the house today, so we'll co-host together with Xavier Robert. When it's time, I'm going to show you the nice gentleman sitting beside me. All right, so before we start the show, I'd like to remind us that, a lot of things are going on in Nigeria. This is a new administration, and of course we should also experience or expect new changes, which is normal. Of course, they have to go into the business of the day. My name is Rachel David White, and today I'll be doing it together with Xavier Robert.
Hello, Rachel. Good to be with you today.
Welcome, Xavier.
Yeah.
Now, I've been anticipating you sitting beside me for a long time.
Yes, and at least your anticipation is now real.
Okay, so let's get to the first report for today. Going to where the president currently is. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had arrived at Amazon Square in Cotonou, the venue of the 63rd anniversary of the Republic of Benin. And according to footages, Tinubu's arrival was greeted with cheers from the crowd as his Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak from Kwara State, and of course Nasser Idris, Kebbi State, and Mohammed Umar Bago, Niger. The president's spokesman, Dele Alake, said in a statement yesterday that Tinubu would be attending a series of events to mark the independence anniversary, including a military parade and the reception hosted by Benin government. And the president, according to him, also held bilateral talks with President Talon on ways to strengthen relations with Niger and Benin Republic. Of course, those were the words of Dele Alake.
Yeah, and we also understand that especially in terms of how to bring in the much needed partnerships that we would be needing to move the country forward. And of course, meeting with world leaders to ensure that whatever it is that we can bring for the country at this time is met for the company.
I would say seeing the president move, from country to countries, trying to, create relationships, have bilateral talks, seems to be a good move as well, because trust me, if he can actually establish relationship with other countries and of course see how to bring foreign investment to Nigeria, it will be a great move for Nigeria.
I mean, yes, of course. I feel that is actually what we need at this time, although it's still left to be seen if these relationships, these visits, these bilateral relations are going to really materialize, and we'll get to start seeing how we are going to be reaping the dividends of these relationships.
Okay, let's quickly move away from that and head to what is happening. The ministerial list, of course, the commencement of the screening had started yesterday, and of course the Nigerian Senate had commenced that screening and possible confirmation of President Bola Tinubu's 28 ministerial nominees for appointment into the Federal Executive Council yesterday. And just like past Nigerian leaders, the president did not attach their portfolios, and the nominees drawn from 25 states of the Federation comprise advisors and of course 7 women amongst others. Let's look at some facts we need to know about the screening process. Now, one of the first is that the screening of the ministerial nominees is in line with the section 147 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. And according to section 147 subsection 2, it says any appointment to the office of Minister of the Government of the Federation shall, if the nomination of any person to such office is confirmed, the Senate be made by the president as well. Another one says that the screening of the ministerial nominees would be handled by the committee of the whole, where the responsibilities of such nominees are stated or not stated rather. And it says when nominations shall be made by the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Senate, to the Senate, the nomination shall, in subsection A, if the responsibilities of the nominees are specified, be referred to the appropriate committee. B says if the responsibilities of the nominees are specified, be referred to the committee of the whole Senate. And Order 117 Senate Standing Orders says the Senate or committee shall sit in open session unless the Senate or committee by a majority vote decides otherwise. Order 118 Senate Standing Orders. And of course, getting to number 3, one of the facts we need to know is like the nominees who have previously held public offices must declare their assets and liabilities before appearance at the Senate in line with Order 120 of the Senate Standing Orders. And subsection A says the Senate shall not consider the nominations of any person who has held any public office as contained in Part 2 of the 5th Schedule to the Constitution prior to his or her nomination unless there is written evidence that he has declared his or her assets and liabilities as required by Section 11, subsection 1 of the Part 1 of the 5th Schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it says such declaration shall be required for scrutiny by the senators, and all nominees should also submit themselves to fingerprint clearance by the Force Criminal Investigation Department of the Nigeria Force. Now, talking about declaration of assets, I know that even when, you know, vying for other political offices, you know, you hear declaration of assets. Does that really stand in Nigeria?
Well, of course, it stands. It stands. I mean, we've had a series of public office holders come up with the fact that they've declared their assets and they've made it public to...
Okay, like the former president says, oh, yeah. I had 100 cows yes. when I came into the system for 8 years and I still have 100 cows. So none died, none put to death, none was sick, and then all of that.
So these are, at a point, you get to consider them mere formalities, because most times we get to realize that some of these declared assets don't turn out to be what it is on paper.
I think that's where my question came from. Does it really stand? Now, it doesn't mean we don't do it. So is it just the way it's supposed to be, or mere formalities like you've said? Because I mean, well, that's not the major issue.
Well, in developed climes, I think it's a very public space. It's necessary that you declare your assets to, you know, show that there's transparency. Normally, going to public offices, it means that you already established. You're not going there to siphon money. You're not going there to enrich yourself and your family. You're going there to serve the people.
But trust me, that's the way it is.
Well, back here, that might seem
okay, so let's get to one of other facts. Number 4 facts we need to know about, of course, the Senate ministerial screening. It says all ministerial nominees must be qualified for election, and Section 147 subsection 5 specifies that no person shall be appointed as a minister of the government of the Federation unless he is qualified for election as a member of the House of Representatives, as contained in sections 6.5 and 6.6. A person is qualified for election as a member of the House of Reps if a citizen of Nigeria has been attained or has attained the age of 25 years, if he has been educated up to at least school certificate level or its equivalent, and of course if a member of a political party and is sponsored by that particular party.
I couldn't help but notice how lenient our constitution is to whoever is allowed to occupy a public office. I mean, you have to just have your school set.
Kind.
And
quite kind.
You're good. You're good to go.
So quite kind, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so number 5 says all ministerial nominees with federal legislative background will cease to be members of the National Assembly upon confirmation with at least one sitting senator nominated for ministerial office, and the lawmaker, if screened, would be required to resign from his seat upon his oath taken as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is in line with Section 147, subsection 4, which states that where a member of the National Assembly or of the House of Assembly is appointed as minister of the government of the Federation, he shall be deemed to have resigned his membership of the National Assembly or of the House of Assembly on his taking the oath of office as a minister. And of course, 6 says 16 nominees to be screened one day, one based on information gathered from the Senate or paper for yesterday's plenary. 16 of the 28 nominees sent by the president, of course, would be screened for possible confirmation that happened on day one. It happened already.
On day one already.
And then yesterday, okay, there were so many rumors, you know, speculations that, of course, they were just mere rumors anyway, that El Rufai had, the former Kaduna State governor had, yeah, that's why I say they were just speculations and rumors, because he has been cleared.
He has been cleared. He has been, although I wouldn't say he has been cleared, because I think there were petitions that were raised on the floor of the Senate. He had some questions to answer, and even the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, yesterday specified, before starting the screening, he specified that telling you to bow and go doesn't mean that you have been confirmed. That
okay, like they told Wike yesterday, yes, you can bow and go.
You're still subject to another process of screening that before you can be truly confirmed as Minister of Nigeria.
Okay, we'll still come to that. You know, yesterday I mentioned you know, El Rufai's case, because the coalition of Quran writers, listeners, interpreters, and the rest had people brought back, you know, the footage that were shown the other time that was sparking so many reactions on social media, where El Rufai was heard saying, yes, the Muslim ticket thing. Of course, he said he was successful in his state, so he's hoping that with President Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, it would pass on to Nigeria as a whole. And then, of course, it had wide condemnation, and even from the Muslim religion as well. So, offering him a ministerial position, people had so many reactions as well. And of course, you know, he has served as a minister here in Nigeria before, so it was like bringing him back. I know that for sure, people would say, like the president or the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Governor Omoyeno said, I'm bringing back the old commissioners that have worked in the past administration because they have the wealth of knowledge enough to, you know, run my administration. So saying that, well, I would say, what do you think?
Well, what I think is, I feel a crop of Nigerian leaders just have to be more cautious with a lot of sensibilities come to play when it comes to religion, it comes to social orientation, it comes to political beliefs. So we really need to put all of these things into consideration, especially when making comments that are of national other entities of our society. So when El Rufai made those comments back then, just like any other Nigerian, I mean, I was taken aback. I mean, this is, you know the sensitive position you occupy in the country, and you know how heated the political scenario in Nigeria is already. And then coming out to say this as a governor, I feel our leaders really have a lot to do when it comes to, you know what they say.
Of course, they stand as a role model, and whatever they say can actually.
And they preach cohesion a lot. They preach.
So their words can likely cause a divide.
Absolutely. So we really need to do better when it comes to really believing that we can truly be one, because that's what our leaders preach, and we need to uphold that as much as possible. Okay,
well, going forward, part of the facts about the screening is that President Bola Tinubu can actually appoint his ministers without Senate confirmation, as contained in Section 147, subsection 6 of the 99 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And appointment to the office of minister shall be deemed to have been made where no return has being received from the Senate within 21 working days of the receipt of nomination by the Senate. And similarly, Order 130 of the Senate Standing Order stipulates that nomination neither confirmed nor rejected during a session or within 21 working days in the case of ministerial nominees shall be returned by the clerk to the National Assembly, to the National Assembly rather, to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and shall not again be made to the Senate by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Still talking about that, we're taking a look at some of the Ali Pate, Senator Abubakar Danladi, Mohammed Idris, of course Edun as well, which has been cleared today, this morning. Now, we're taking a look at the, personalities of this person and, of course, what they have done or what they have represented in Nigeria before. Well, you know, judging conversations people have had, the personalities of this person have actually tested, you know, power before and have a knowledge of what they are coming to do as well. But there are some worries. Now, I know some justifications may be made as to why doesn't, you know, the president add portfolios like, you know, the past presidents add portfolios, you know, to the ministers, you know. For example, there was some speculations that El-Rufai may likely handle power, you know, the power sector. Now, if portfolios are being handed over to them or being assigned, right, don't you think it may actually get to make the Senate know the line of questions to ask them? Oh, what are you going to bring to the table? How do you think that, oh, as a Minister for Power, we can actually, you know, get, you know, a stable power supply? Or how do you intend to go about, like they're asking right now, how do you intend, what are you going to bring on the table? But if portfolios were actually added, don't you think it would have been much better?
Well, borrowing from the Senate President's comments yesterday that nothing is cast in stone yet, they are still subject to more
Review.
screening to know how competent these people are. And then, talking about adding the portfolios to them right from the start, I feel
this gives them answers. I don't know what I'm going out there to do, so I need to prepare. For example, it's like going to take an exams that you don't know the subjects and you need to get into this particular school and you just have to, you don't know, you have to prepare across all subjects.
But I still feel that it will do our country proud and would make a whole lot of progress if they are really tested characters, and most of them have really shown themselves approved in a lot of areas that they have been involved in. So I feel we should try as much as possible to pair the portfolios in tandem with what they are really skilled at.
Okay.
Not just dishing out portfolios that are given out to people based on what they are capable of doing, what they bring to the table. It would do a lot of good to the country. What do you think?
I think so too. I think so too, because I'm going to still use Akwa Ibom State as an example. Inimemebong goes back to the information sector, being that he had done well in that sector. And of course, everybody had seen that, oh, Inimemebong is doing well in this sector. So taking him back to that sector looks like, oh, this is his comfort zone. Everybody knows that, forget he's going.
That's also a very good example that you brought up there. Inimemebong has shown himself approved, distinguished himself when it comes to the information sector of the state. And if other commissioners are to follow suit and really get to mirror what characters like the one you've mentioned were able to bring to the table for the state, I think it's going to translate to positives for the state. And then if we can have a replication of the same energy at the field, the country would do good.
Okay, before we get to another, let's just get to join the Senate and see what's ongoing so far. We know that some persons have been screened today, and of course, it's still ongoing, and hopefully, let's see what today is going to look like. So let's just go back to the Senate and check what's going there, then we'll come right back.
House of Assembly. He was popularly known as Adelabu Bekelemesi. I'm 52 years old, born in 1970. Nigerians deserve to know who their will-be ministers are. I'm happily married to a wife with 4 children. My educational background. I attended my primary school in Ibadan. Ibadan City Council Primary School, later changed to Ibadan Municipal Government Primary School between 1976 and 1982. I proceeded to Lagelu Grammar School, where I had my secondary school between 1982 and 1987, achieving my West African School certificate with 6 distinctions and 2 credits. From there, I proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, between 1988 and 1992 to read accounting. I left the school in flying colors with a first-class degree in management and accounting. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm a banker, having qualified in 1996 as a fellow of the Institute of Chartered